Howdy folks, my name is Janaki.
And this is Madame Bathsheba.
And together we are Catomancy Tarot. So welcome. Today I have a very special deck to show you all. And this is one that took me quite some time to track down, but I finally tracked it down and I'm excited to share it with you today. This is a deep cut from the Collage deck archive, and it's a tarot deck from 1988 called the Flying Hearts Tarot. So this is a German deck from the 80s, and some people who had seen my videos where I talk about how much I love collage decks had mentioned it to me. So it's been on my radar for quite some time, but it took me a while to kind of actually track down a copy. And I found one at a German used bookstore website for like 30 euros. So I was like, let's try it out. And it's a weirdo. It's a really cool one, but it's a weirdo. And as I'll show you soon, I feel like it's more of an oracle deck than a tarot deck, but it's really fun. So with that said, let's take a look. Let's take a look inside this this turtle shell. Alrighty. So before I bought this deck, I was looking all over on the internet for more pictures of it, and I just couldn't find any. So I think I thought it would be really fun to do a walkthrough with you guys, because I was so curious to see what the cards look like, and I couldn't see anywhere. So here we go. So it comes with this guidebook. I think there's a lot of just guidebooks out there, but I'm not sure if they all come with tarot decks, but this is the guidebook. It's all in German, unfortunately, but I had a quick kind of perusal through it, and it's really quite a wild deck. It comes with some curious illustrations, and a lot of the entries for the cards are written out in verse. So with my handy dandy Google Translate, I translated some of it, and I don't think Google Translate can quite capture the sort of limerick style goofiness of this guidebook, or what I only assume is that tone. It's really hard to get tone from Google Translate. So if you're familiar with this deck and you speak German, I would love to hear, I would love to hear your thoughts on the guidebook, because it's a little opaque to me. So what I did instead is I have got my little cheat sheet with all of the cards have titles. So I translated all of the titles. So now I have my little go-to cheat sheets that I'll be using as we walk through the cards, so I can tell you the translations for the titles. So let's get into it. It's a really large deck, and these are the backs. And I think they're great. I think they're great backs. Definitely not reversible. And you'll see this little silk handkerchief thing I've got going on here. I think I might turn this cloth into a pouch for this deck. I've made a video on how I like to make pouches, silk pouches for my decks. And I picked this piece of cloth came in a bundle, and I was like, gosh, this is really distinctive. I have no idea what deck to use it for, and I think it might be the perfect match for this guy, which is exciting. Let me zoom you on a little closer in here. Shaky cam. All right. So for comparison's sake, I've got the Margaret Peterson, which is another kind of very well-known deck that I know a lot of folks have, and it's oracle-sized cards, but the Flying Hearts Tarot is even bigger. So as you can see, it's taller and a little bit wider there. So it's a big boy. It's a big boy, and it's a weirdo. this deck has the major arcana. They're all renamed, and then all of the minor arcana are also have titles. And then instead of having court cards in this deck, all the 16 court cards are removed into their own suit, which is now called the Masters. So then you have 16 masters without any elemental associations. And I've never seen a deck do that kind of treatment with court cards before, so that was a new one for me. So let's just take you through here, and I'm going to be looking at my cheat sheet for all of these titles here. I'm trying to learn them all. I think eventually, working with them for a while, I'll eventually learn them all, but so far I've just been kind of like studying these cards. So this is the Fool card, and this is the card that's on the cover of the deck. It's labeled 00, and the title is Fool in Luck. So as we go through, I'm going to be noting a couple things about this deck. The art style with all collage decks, it feels like collage decks get their own distinctive style by the kind of the materials artists are choosing to work with. And there's a couple different like material style or like collage materials that go into this deck. And so sometimes they feel cohesive and sometimes it's a bit of a like a mashup. And one of the styles is these kind of like Eastern illustrated figures. Here we've got another one. This is the player as the magician, and we've got a visit from our beloved Madame Bathsheba here. She's keeping us company for this. Next we have number 2 with intuition, and this is in English, which is helpful. And so you'll see here, this is another one of the styles in this deck, which is this kind of like older, softer, kind of like European romantic artwork. As opposed to this next card, which like these two almost don't feel like they're from the same universe, but they're all from the Flying Hearts universe. But this one is number 3, and this one is called Joy. So instead of Empress, we have Joy. As I mentioned before, this is the there's a bunch of these kind of style of figures in the deck. And at number 4, our Emperor is called. So I tried to translate this one, and it seemed it gave me it translated into a French term which I hadn't heard before, but it's called the bon viveur, which I think is the like a person who knows how to live a good life, the good life. Also translated as like the rake or the man about town. Which I thought was all quite interesting. So that is our Emperor. Next, we have the Spiritual Master, and we've got a figure reclined on a turtle here, which is very fun. And then we've got some of our flying hearts, our titular flying hearts there. I love this card. So this is the Lovers, and I really love, I like the person reclined on a banana. And I like the kind of out of focus kind of garden scene we have here. And this is number 6, The Lovers, and it is the title is The Lovers. So that one kind of remains the same. And then here we have number 7, our Chariot is now the Spirit of Rebellion. Number 8, our Strength card is Samba. So we've got a woman and a peacock, both presumably samba-ing, which is very fun. Number 9, this one is titled Being Alone as our hermit here. Next up, this is, hopefully by now you're kind of getting the overall flavor of this deck. This is number 10, which translate the whim of the moment. So we've got our kind of like gambling wheel and our chameleon friend here. number 11 here, and this is equanimity for the Justice card. So we've got a briefcase full of enlightenment, perhaps? Number 12. So this is our Hanged Man, and we have, I believe this one is, devotion. And some of the artwork is sideways in this deck, and I believe this is one of them. And this is a provocative image. I'd love to read the guidebook for this one about how this is devotion, but it's a funky one. So number 13, this is our death card, another one that's sideways, and the title for this one is Letting Go. Number 14, our temperance, we have self-determination, and I can't figure out which way this one goes. I think it works this way. Number 15 is Pan, our devil card, which is really very fun. I like that one a lot. Oh, I've switched. This always happens, when you're doing a flip through and then forget what you're doing. All right, number 16, let's see here. This one is called The Last Heartache. And then we have another interesting thing about this deck. So instead of the kind of star, sun, and moon, we've got the outer planets here, which is fun. The outer planets don't get a lot of love. So here we have Uranus as cosmic laughter. And then 18, instead of the moon, we have Neptune. And Neptune's title is Compassion. And then here we also have Pluto as Rebirth for the sun, which is it's a kind of a very different vibe, but I really dig it, and I really dig this card. I love the kind of so when I was a kiddo, we would go see the zoo lights at the zoo for Christmas, and you would get these like plastic and paper glasses, and you would put them on, and then all of the lights would be shiny like this, and sometimes they'd make shapes, and they would refract in fun ways. And there's a bunch of cards in this deck that has that kind of lighting effect that I really dig. So that's our Pluto / Sun card. Number 20 is Freedom. And then if this isn't the most precious world card, I don't know what is. This is, the translation of this title is In the World, but not of this world. And we've got our kitty, our cosmic kitty here curled up, which I love, with more of this kind of like fun glinting lighting. So hopefully by now, that was just the majors, but you'll have an understanding of why I feel like this deck is like more of an oracle deck than a proper tarot deck. And it feels like very in the vein of, it feels like in the same time period as the Tantric Dakini Oracle. It's got a similar kind of like Eastern flavor, but like Western weird humor going on. And I would also put it in there with like Morgan's Tarot, which is another, tarot's in the title, but it's definitely an oracle deck. Tantric Dakini Oracle is also kind of based off of a tarot structure, but like quite loosely. So to me, this feels like very much in the vein of those two decks, where the titles themselves have kind of nothing to do with traditional tarot meanings, and I feel like I'll have more fun reading with them if I just read the image and the title as an oracle rather than relying on the tarot element. But curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I definitely think this is like you know, if Morgan's Tarot and the Tantric Dakini Oracle and a few, maybe, and the Voyager all got together and had a baby, like that's the Flying Hearts vibe, right? Are you guys getting that vibe? Comment below what you think this the vibe of this deck is. But now we're into the minors, and we're starting off with a suit of fire. So it's the suit is the name of the suit is Fire. So this is the Ace of Fire, and the title is Open Door, which is really fun. We've got this goat falling through this open door. Very cool. I love this image. I think this is a really cool one. And like with lots of decks, as with lots of decks, there's some cards in this deck that I absolutely love, and then there's some cards that I'm like, this doesn't even feel like it belongs here. But that's the kind of deck this is. It's just a wild mismatch. So this is our Two of Fire, and the title is Prayer. Look at that! Look at this like zapping of prayer thing going on. Wild. Very cool. And then this one is called Enlightenment Insurance, which is very silly. And then here, our number 4 is Flowers and Thorns. This one is just called Yahoo! And then this one is called Do It! Number 6. Here we have Throttle for the 7. For the 8, we have Not Knowing. For the 9, we have Ferrari. And then for 10, we have Glasnost. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I did some research on this one. I'm not a late Soviet historian, but this was a late Soviet economic policy of kind of like opening up the market. So, you know, 80s Germany, that's the historical context, right? This is, now we're on to water. You'll notice, yeah, no court cards, just 1 through 10 in each of the suit. The court cards come at the end, and they're all their own suit with no elemental associations. This card is called Siesta, Ace of Water, and I think it's my favorite card in the deck. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's really lovely, and I think I prefer the cards in this deck in this kind of style. But there's so many styles going on in this deck. This is the 2, and this one's just called Music. I like this one a lot too. This one is just the 3 of water, and it's just giggles. Hee hee hee. Here's more of that lighting effect for the 4. And this one's called the I'm reading my notes here. Did I get... Oh, I think I got mixed up. Oh, I did get mixed up. So I lied to you in my notes here. This one is actually called Awakening, not Music. I was reading my notes in the wrong place. Still giggles for this one, but then this one is called Listen to the Wind, which is a bit unusual because this is the suit of water, and you would think Listen to the Wind is in the suit of air, but that's okay. We're not. This isn't the kind of deck that, you know, you can super scrutinize elementally, I feel like. This one is just called Tao. Here we have, for the 6 of water, we have the Way of the White Clouds. The number 7 is Who Am I? here. And here's a good example of the mixing of the styles. So you have that like weird funky lighting, and then you have the softer painting style, which is kind of fun. And this one is called The Mirror. This one is Consider. And then lastly, moving into this other illustration style, we have Ebb and Flow. And now we're on to the Ace of Air. So this one, I like this one a lot too. This one's really good. And it's called The Never-Ending Story. And I can't say that without wanting to like say it in the tune of The Never-Ending Story, right? Okay, yep, I just did that. But it's so good. It's so pretty. I like it a lot. And then here, this one is music. The number 3 is called Without Rules. And here, the 4 of air is the Flying Heart. Also confusing to me because these cards don't have hearts on them. But that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Our number 5 of air, we have Ecstasy. This is a fun one. Serenade for the 6. Ooh La La for the 7. And then Mountain and Valley. This is another one of my favorite cards in this deck, but stylistically it also feels like a bit of an outlier, but I like this card so much. This one is called A Bird's Eye View for the 9, and then for the 10 of air, we've got E equals MC squared, which is kind of a fun 10 of swords. And then moving on to the suit of earth with the ace, we have the card Who Dares, Who Wins, with some of these, or Who Dares Wins is the translation. And we've got some peppers and some gambling chips. And I think the guidebook does kind of address what's going on in each of them through some kind of like, interesting limericks that probably don't translate super well, but they're really funky. This one is just called Luxury. Aha! For the 3. And once I saw this one, I had to do the guidebook lookup. This card is just called Tiramisu for the 4 of earth. And it feels very Monty Python's Flying Circus to me, with the toads presumably going at it, and our little figure here, and then the Casablanca, like, oh boy. And then I looked at the guidebook, and it was just like a silly kind of weird limerick about like making fun of Americans by doing some weird like American intelligence test with like multiple choice questions. And so like truly this is like the height of just bizarro. Very silly. Very, very silly. I couldn't figure out, if you speak German and you know what this means, let me know. I think it just might be like stop, but in English you would read it as stoop, right? Is that weird for me to think that? And we've got this sex-starved astronaut stepping on a flower. I don't know, man. I don't know. Then we've got Rebalancing for the 6. Tenderness for the 7. Beyond Champagne for the 8 of earth. Fiesta. Now this is another one of my, I love this card. It reminds me This card reminds me of Daydreaming in C2, another collage deck, but the color scheme from this card reminds me of that deck a lot. I love that, the lime green and those pinks and those like periwinkles. Very pretty. And then our 10 is Fulfillment. 10 of Coins Fulfillment. That, you know, that makes regular tarot sense. Like one of the few ones that actually does. So those are the minors, and now we're getting into what's basically the fifth suit, which is the court cards. I tried to kind of translate and understand what was going on in the guidebook with these, and I think there was an argument made that, like, why do we have this hierarchical court system? We don't have aristocracy no more. So they just took those 16 cards and called them the masters, and they don't have elemental associations, but this is master number 1, and each of the masters have a little tagline, and so each of the masters have like a domain. So this master number 1 is the source of faith, and we've got this little like mask puppet show thing going on. Master number 2 is the source of doubt. Master 3 is the source of rebellion. Master 4 is the source of truth, with this lovely unicorn guy here. Master 5 is the source of happy feasts. This one is called the source of silence. I love this card. I think this card is really beautiful. But again, it feels like a completely different universe than this next card, right? And this dude right here underwater, this is the source of, oh goodness. I'm going to have to get back to you on this one. I think it's the source of breathing. The problem here is I just can't read my own handwriting. So I'll put the correction if what it actually is. I'll double check that. But I think it's the source of something that starts with a B. That could be breathing. This one is just the source of zest, zip, zap, zing. So interpret that as you will. This is the source of hypnosis for Master 9. Master 10 is the source of meditation. Master 11 is the source of innocence. And then here we have the source of understanding. The source of love. The source of aloneness. The source of creativity. And then this guy, instead of master number 16, it's just master 000, Luvis Aha Beyondo. And so this guy features heavily as a character in the guidebook. I think the authors of this deck are some kind of collective called Flying Hearts. I couldn't find like a single authorship name on this deck, but from my limited spelunking into German translation, it seems like this character, Master, I don't know, Lovis, Beyond. Mr. Beyond is kind of like the like guru figure for the Flying Hearts Collective. They apparently met this guy under weird circumstances, and he's always, playing his guitar barefoot and like, spouting, funny ways to get to enlightenment, kind of thing. So this is very much, this character is kind of like the spiritual guide for the deck. I don't know if it's based on a real human being or not. But the idea is this person is kind of like an Eastern mystic who made their way to Germany in the 80s. I'm not sure. Again, if you know more about this deck than I do, I am very curious and I have so many questions. And then there's one kind of blank card. And that's it. That's the Flying Heart Tarot. What do you guys think? Super, super, super weirdo, right? But very fun. Like I said, it feels like it has like several different kind of like styles going on. Some of the images I really adore. Like I think some of them are really cool, and then some of them I don't know, less enthused by. Like I'm not super into let's see if I like the ones that are just all illustration, that it just feels like it pulls things out of the deck, or like I don't know. It's I've just been studying it so far. I haven't really done any readings with it, but I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna read it like an oracle deck. So thank you for joining me today for this wander through Flying Hearts Land. I will see you all next time. Bye for now.